I'm Thierry Barbeau from InfoAfrique Media and dedicated to digital innovation in Africa. I'm really happy to meet you now for this live. So I propose to talk about AfricArena 22 edition and what become. And let's talk to Christophe Viarno and Papama Nyati. Hi, Papama.
Hi, Thierry. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
How are you?
Yes, fine. Thank you very much. I would like to know what is the difference between this edition and what's work on and what is detail maybe of the program and innovation this year.
Yeah, sure. So as you know, 2020 has brought about, unprecedented challenges for everybody across the world, particularly companies as well, startups. So we've also adapted our strategy as well and how we implement our strategy at AfricArena. So what's quite unique about this year is that we had a fully digital component, throughout the entire year. Now we have the AfricArena tour, where ordinarily we'll travel across the continent to the main tech hubs and host pitch events and networking events. And yeah, we're very well known for that across the continent. Now, unfortunately, because of COVID-19, we've had to pivot and go fully digital, and which actually works to our advantage as well, because we were able to technically visit more tech hubs. So we hosted pitch events and webinars online, and we had attendees from across the continent. Our reach was far greater this year because it is fully digital, which means that more people could access our events. So that was great. And also the companies as well that we came across were able to reach out to a greater number of startups during the course of the year with the AfricArena tour. And yeah, so we've had to pivot, and here we are today. So for the summit, there's basically two components to it. There's the in-person event, which of course we will be complying with regulations when it comes to the number of attendees and health and safety measures as well. But the more exciting element of it is AfricArena Air, which is the digital component. So yeah, that's how we have adapted.
Yes. And also with AfricArena on Air, you have also an application dedicated to meet people with information, data, video, and a room where startup can speak with investor. Also, it's new.
Yes, exactly. So we just recently launched AfricArena Wired. We launched it last week. And yeah, it's the first ever app of its kind in Africa, as far as we know. And it's quite a big leap as well for us as well. It's a big investment, and we're very happy about it. So basically, the app as we see it is where the entire African tech ecosystem can come together, and share knowledge and gain access to all sorts of reports that speak about the latest trends in innovation and investment. And at the same time, people can also connect. We partnered with a startup called Coffee Chat based in Mauritius. And we developed the deal room. And that is basically where all these different stakeholders of the ecosystem can come together and connect. And it's a curated community as well. So people have to apply for membership. Then we validate who they are and their contribution to the ecosystem. Then we allow them into the deal room. And that's where they can connect with startups, with investors, advisors, and so forth.
Okay, and when we are connected to the application, everybody can sign up. If they are startups, if they want to meet investor, it's possible, it's available?
Well, yes, you can download the app and you can apply for membership, but you can't guarantee that you will be accepted because once again, it is a curated community and we prefer to have quality over quantity.
Yes, so you prefer quality?
Yes, it has to be a company that actually exists, a company that actually operates. And if you're an investor, you have to be an active investor and not a want-to-be investor. So it has to be a very select group of people to ensure that there's quality exchanges in the communications.
And what is going to be the big event of this edition on Air?
There's a few exciting things lined up. There's a few great keynotes. The one that stands out for me is definitely from Luwa Boyeji, which is scheduled for today. He's the co-founder of Andela and Flutterwave, which are two of the biggest funded startups in Africa. So that's really, really exciting. And what's very interesting about Luwa is that he's transitioned from an entrepreneur to an investor. So it's going to be very interesting to see what insights he shares when it comes to the differences in mindset from being a founder and being an investor. So I really look forward to that as well.
Thank you very much, Papama. Okay, stay connected. And Christophe, hi. Can you tell us some information and give news from all this success story from last year? We see many innovation from startup from all country in Africa. I heard about 12 countries. What do they become? What is the big change, and how much they give, and what is the impact? Can you tell us about what's growing up?
Yeah, sure. Bonjour Thierry. Thank you for being with us today and tomorrow in person in Cape Town. Really a privilege to have you with us for the second year. So yeah, I mean, like Papama just said, it's been a year of challenges, and it's been very hard on the entire planet. So, you know, it's not like one country has been, exempt from the impact of COVID. But you know, one thing we are seeing clearly is a overall digitalization and accelerated digitalization, and Africa is not exempt of that as well. So when, you know, in the first few weeks, nobody knew what was going to happen, how long it was going to last, and the impact it would have on the world. But you know, entrepreneurs, you know, they get up every morning to change the world, and so the ability to adapt is one of the key quality of African entrepreneurs. And it's been amazing to see the reaction of these entrepreneurs to pivot their model, to find ways to fund themselves differently, to create new products and services. And you know, in the tech sector as overall, you know, relatively benefited actually from a business perspective of accelerated digitalization, whether it's in agriculture or healthcare or fintech. Of course, we're seeing an acceleration overall. So on the investment side, you know, in the first few weeks, there was a fear that are the investors going to continue to invest, and what's going to happen? And will the company run out of cash? Will many companies go bankrupt? And what we've seen is that, that on the contrary, investors have been staying long, so they're taking a long view on that. And so we're seeing investors, we were with investors the whole weekend now talking about what has happened and the trends. And, all investors have done deals this year. They've either reinvested in the existing portfolio to go through COVID and actually maybe take the opportunity of COVID. There's a number of deals on their portfolio to actually accelerate on their growth. And they've also made new deals. The other thing we've seen, if you look at what has happened on the continent, we've seen some transactions from international corporates or international startups investing in Africa in this year to capitalize on what's going on. So, last year we had a record year in Africa, $2 billion investment. AfricArena published a report in March saying that there would be a potential impact of about 40% maximum on the amount of investment. We're still seeing that there's going to be an overall reduction in investment in 2020, but we're actually seeing an increase in the number of deals. So in summary, the main effect is you've had an impact on valuation. So valuation have tended to go a little bit down from last year, but we've actually seen more deals, especially more deals in where the money is most needed, which is in the under Series A category. So that's very encouraging. And I'm actually very bullish. We're in November now. We're still deep in COVID, but I'm very optimistic about Africa for 2021, 2022, because I think we're going to see an acceleration again on the investment side. We're seeing more and more players coming on the continent. Interestingly, at the Conference and at AfricArena Summit, we have a number of international investors who have traveled to be with us. So that's interesting. And we have a high interest on the digital track. So that's super exciting.
Everybody is looking for solution in innovation, data, and about COVID, of course. Do you think it's a big opportunity to get fund in this kind of thematic? Did health is now a big focus for everybody, like European Commission? I heard that they are here and they are looking for you. So do you think it's a very big opportunity, COVID, for innovation and to have quickly improve systems?
Yeah, I think because of the digitalization across the board on all sectors, it makes data the name of the game in a way. When you are in digital, you have to manage data, and it's not data to give the service. Think about health, for example. The ability, there's a number of startups which have raised capital this year who are on the healthcare sector. So for a doctor to be able to consult with the patient over a mobile phone, so the patient has a mobile phone, the doctor is maybe somewhere else in the world, maybe not even in Africa, and able to get some information from the patient through an interview in a way, but also potentially sharing the data about the condition of this patient, if this patient has had an exam, and so forth, and then making sure that you're going to manage what's happening with this specific patient over a period of time, so we can make sure that he receives or she receives the adequate treatment. You can also use data to have preventative kind of approach to healthcare, based on a number of parameters. So I think whether it's healthcare or similar in agriculture, there's an explosion of that I've seen, but I'm sure Thierry, you know even more than me in that field, of capitalizing on data for farmers and in agriculture sector, where we're going to see a lot of things happening. And interestingly, Africa is a bit at the forefront on the agri-tech side. The way I see it is agri-tech is going to be one of the major wave in Africa. We might see big companies growing there in the next few years. And another area is education. Again, because of the fact that schooling has been heavily disrupted, you had to come up with solutions. And I must say, you'd think that the US or Europe is as a hedge, but actually one of the most successful edtech startup in the world was actually South Africa based. It's a company called Get Smarter, which did $125 million exit a couple of years ago. And the founder, who is speaking at AfricArena tomorrow, Rob Paddock, has just started a new business. So, Get Smarter was more a university course going online. So suddenly, even if you're in Nigeria, you can be at Harvard from your desktop, and they deliver tailored program, digital plus coaching, personalized coaching over the air. Now, the new startup that Rob Paddock has launched is doing it in a high school. And if you look at, for example, Thierry, what happened in France, when France shut down all its schooling system, we were not prepared.
Yes.
So I think it's quite interesting to see the agility and speed of African entrepreneurs to capitalize and create new innovation. And that specific startup is called Venture Institute, and I encourage you to check it out. So it's quite fascinating to see how people are using technology, mobile, and data to create new innovation. And at our own little level, if you look at AfricArena, our core mission is to connect entrepreneurs, founders with investors and corporates to deliver on their dreams. Well, if we can no longer have an event, how do we do that? Well, we are digitalizing our DNA, and we've done that, with a mobile phone. And how do you do that on mobile? You have to do an app. And so we can now get all our content, all our data that we're sharing, all our resources. We have a section on the app where you can get term sheet, and you can get a report that gives you what's happening in the African tech investment. You can connect with people, qualified people to help you. It can be advisors, it can be investors, it can be co-founders, and do cool stuff. So, and you don't have to necessarily travel anymore. And we can save also on that, and save less fuel and carbon to do all of that. So it's just more efficient.
Okay. Christophe, can you tell us about maybe more information about three success story from AfricArena this year? I heard about alumni. Can you give us some information about that? How they grow up?
Yeah, so AfricArena, we effectively a grassroots type of initiative. So we were created by entrepreneurs and investors for entrepreneurs and investors. So we maintain a circles of communities. So we have an investor circle where we have over 150 Africa-focused investors that follow what we do, and we constantly share information with them. We have a circle of founders. So all the companies, we look at about 1,000 startups every year through what Papama has described, with the AfricArena tour. Typically, we would select 100 and get them to come and pitch at the event. So that has happened mostly digitally this year, although we have 50 startups that will be at Workshop 17 tomorrow. And these alumni of companies that have been pitching at AfricArena over the years, so it's now the 4th year, we have around 120 of them. These companies, they've raised $164 million after pitching at AfricArena in the last 4 years. So that just shows you the magnitude of funding that those companies have been able to raise. Not necessarily directly because they were at AfricArena, but as a result of a number of factors. But AfricArena was definitely one of them. And so it's quite interesting to see what has happened with these companies. So if you look at the history of the event, we've had some amazing success stories. So one success stories I really like is a company called Aerobotics. So we identified you remember, Thierry? Identified
Yes.
Aerobotics 2017. So the first year of AfricArena, we have these young, small South African startups, mostly focusing on using AI for agriculture. So what they do is they basically use drones and imaging capturing and crossing with data to analyze how to best manage the treatment of trees to make sure that you avoid diseases for your crops and stuff like that. So they have very complex technology using drone and AI and imaging to do that. And it's this, this company has had an amazing run. So they won a challenge in 2017. Then we selected them to go to Vivatech.
Hello, everybody.
So we're quite happy with their run. Yes, Katie.
Sorry, you just froze for me. Thierry and Papama, are you here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, sorry, it just froze. Christophe, maybe can you just repeat what you were just saying there, your last sentence, just in case Chad needs to edit it?
Sure, but I think you froze. We didn't.
Oh, okay. Then that's fine. All right.
When that happens, yeah. Okay. So let's go back to Aerobotics.
Yes.
So yeah, one company we really think is one of the up and coming is a company called Aerobotics, which is a Cape Town-based business, based on a crossing of using drone technology, imaging, and data. And their main mission is to effectively help farmers, especially in the fruit industry, to better manage their crops, identifying potential disease for their trees and how to manage the treatment and what to do in terms of managing and optimizing their crops. So it's an amazing startup selected at AfricArena in 2017. We selected them to Vivatech in 2018, took them to Paris. We took them on the AfricArena showcase tour in New York, and that company now has operated as open office in the US. They have offices in California, for example, and they're operating in a US market. They're obviously operating in Africa. They're looking at Europe, and they've raised millions of dollars. They've recently raised on a $1 billion valuation, so it's about $80 million valuation. So it's amazing to see in the space of 3 years that company doing that run. So that's been great. And another example is a company called Eric's All. So we have a deep tech track in AfricArena in partnership with Hello Tomorrow, which is a great deep tech event, probably the biggest deep tech event in the world, taking place in Paris every year. And we select deep tech startups in Africa, and the winner of the deep tech challenge at AfricArena 2018 was that Nigerian entrepreneurs, and he had basically created a device that enables to quickly figure out if a medicine is fake or real. And so after winning the AfricArena Challenge, we sent them to Paris to pitch at the event, Hello Tomorrow. And, it's a very competitive event. There's thousands of startups from all over the world. And he won. He won the grand prize, and he won $100,000 in grant funding. And obviously it connected him to a lot of investors. And then again, this company sort of expanded in many countries and has been very successful. And it's a great story, born in Nigeria, scaling globally and really being discovered through a process that went by AfricArena. So these are a few examples. Have many other examples. Sandy, which was at AfricArena 2017, which is in a logistics space, amazing run from Kenya, et cetera, et cetera. So great companies as well in a fintech space. A Dakar-based company in payment called Paydunia, which I think Thierry. They started, came to AfricArena 2017, came back in 2018, pitched at VivaTech 2019, and now they're employing more than people. They've raised more than $1 million in funding, and I think they're going to be one of the key players in payments in West Africa, which is a hot industry, as you know, with the recent Paystack acquisition. So it's quite amazing to see all these different entrepreneurs from East Africa, West Africa, North Africa. Another example we have here today with us is Innova Technology, which is a Tunisian startup in a robotic space, who has raised, and now is preparing its Series B, but which we found, quite early on, a few years ago. And Anis is pitching tomorrow at Workshop 17. So all these companies, they're a community, and it's great. They participate in the growth of the entire ecosystem. And what's also cool is to see them meeting other founders at events such as these, or digitally on the platform, and just, sometimes co-creating things together. We also have seen that. So it's super exciting.
And in this ecosystem of innovation with AfricArena, you speak a lot about Nigeria, South Africa, and we heard about Tunisia for robotics. And what about West Africa? Is there any company in innovation connected to AfricArena? Did we heard about Senegal, Togo, Benin, or maybe Ghana or Mali, because there is some difficult condition there. There is a big impact of COVID and geopolitical condition very hard. Is there any company you follow there?
Absolutely. I mean, we try to be inclusive. So because of our investor community, we have a big focus on Series A, growth companies, Series B, and so forth. But the large majority of startups we qualify to pitch are actually a seed stage company, so very early on. And the AfricArena Tour, we cover all these countries, including West Africa and French-speaking Africa and Arabic-speaking Africa, because we really want to connect to all the trends. And it's quite different. What's happening in Cape Town is very different from what's happening in Lagos or in Cairo, for example. And the hierarchy of ecosystem is not set. Cape Town used to be the capital of the continent from an investment perspective. It's now been taken over by Nairobi and Lagos and Cairo. So, it's quite interesting. And we're seeing very exciting stuff happening. And one of the things we've done this year, we've partnered with the United Nations ITC to create the Fast Track Challenge. So for companies in those countries, so we have Mali, for example, amongst those countries, we have Senegal and so forth, to find the best next generation of entrepreneurs. So we had, I think, 70 or 80 applications. We had 21 finalists who are pitching on AfricArena Air digital track on the first day, on Monday, at the end of the day, so today. And there will be from 7 countries, and there'll be 7 winners. And we're going to then showcase those winners and try to connect them to entrepreneurs, because it's really hard when you're entrepreneurs in Mali to find an investor, to be quite honest. But in our network, we have tens of Francophone investors. We have also other investors looking at this country. We have amazing guys who want to make a difference. So, that's what we're trying to do, to be inclusive on that.
And to conclude, Christophe, what is going to happen for next year? What did you think about that?
We can't talk about new products, Thierry. I'm joking. Well, I think, our focus now is going to be on the digital elements. We don't know if COVID is going to stop in Q1, Q2, Q3, or 2022. we do think that it's quite likely that we're going to have a slow progress and return to normality, but the world has changed. The digital will never retreat. So we're going to keep investing in our digital component. We're going to keep investing in doing hybrid events. We believe small is beautiful. That's why Papama said quality first, curation first. It doesn't mean curation, you take only the best or the big. It means that you're going to just make sure that you do things right to achieve results. We are very outcome driven. That's our entrepreneurship DNA. This is why we do, all these side events. So the unconference of AfricArena with the investor is basically to get them to work better together, more open source instead of all competing. Let's just share, it's a big opportunity. Let's share the tools, let's share the opportunity and co-invest together rather than sometimes invest against each other. So that is working quite well. Similarly, the Founders Boost Camp, get all these founders together and mix their experience and different products. We see that there's some cooperation between them. So I think we're going to be doing more of that. That's really the future. We're hopefully going to return doing AfricArena tour next year and continue to do events, hopefully in Paris, Thierry, with you, and in New York, like we did before, and in the Valley and in Tokyo, as we did in 2019, and try to keep on rising the narrative of Africa, because it's still very small, $1 per habitant of investment in tech. In the US, it's $400. In Europe, it's $250. So, we have a long way to go. We need to do 200x to be on par. So there's still a lot of hard work, but we are very confident and optimistic about the future.
Okay, it means collaborative, data, innovation, and many countries together.
Open source as well.
Open source as well. Thank you very much, Christophe. Then we stay connected with AfricArena Wired.